Hello, beautiful people. I am super excited because in honor of my birthday and turning 35, I am going to share with you 35 lessons that I have learned. And let me tell you, I think they're pretty good. Okay, let's begin. The first one is you don't have to help everyone or carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. This one was a hard lesson for me to learn. And when I learned it, it literally it was like breaking my heart. But I think that it's really important, especially for those of us that are givers. We do not have to give at the expense of ourselves, and we don't have to take on every burden that other people have. People have their own life that they are living, and they are making the choices that they are making, which is creating the life that they're living. And we, as much as we might want to help someone else, do not have to take on that burden because one, it doesn't serve us. Two, that sounds really selfish, but like what I mean by it doesn't serve us as an individual, it's not healthy, and it doesn't produce a good relationship. So it doesn't help our relationship with that person. That person can become codependent, or we end up getting used just because people know that they can use us, and that sucks. The second thing is that it doesn't allow the other person to really sprout and grow on their own. And that's important for each person to do. It's important for an individual to see and know that the decisions they make today will have an effect on their lives in the future. And if we're always saving them and rescuing them, they make the assumption that that's what is going to happen always. Someone is going to save them, someone is going to rescue them, and they don't have to take accountability for their own actions. Not true. And so in the long run, it is important that we not take on every burden, and that we don't have to help everyone. The next lesson is that you're beautiful. I'm beautiful. Regardless of what the world says or what the current trends are when it comes to being professional, when it comes to being beautiful and the it girl or the it guy or whatever, the truth is that you are beautiful and that each individual is beautiful. And regardless of what society says or what the mainstream it look is, that changes. Every 10 years, it's something new, something different. And it's not, our physical attributes are one thing, but society doesn't get to decide what's beautiful. Literally, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because there are some people that I do not find attractive, and there are other women that are like, oh my gosh, that is the hottest person in the world, right? And I know vice versa. There are some men that would look at me and be like, she is not cute at all. Like, absolutely not. And then there are other men that are like, she is, oh my gosh, a knockout, right? And it's in the eye. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so there are a lot of pressures, a lot of outside pressures for us to conform and to live in one way or another. And the truth is, we are beautiful how we are, and we should really tap into those things, especially those internal things that exude and allow for us to really radiate and shine the light that's within us, because that is beautiful in itself. Cliche kind of, but very true. The third lesson is take your time. There is always going to be some sort of pressure to get things done, like now, or, you know, YOLO, like you only live once, you'll miss out if you don't do this. FOMO, again, you'll miss out if you don't do this. There are all these things that tell us we either don't have enough time, we're gonna miss out on something, life's too short. I do agree that life can be short, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be intentional and purposeful. And a lot of times when we are living and walking with intention, sometimes it feels like we're behind. I totally talked about this in one of my videos, my video on insecurity. You should totally check it out. But it's really important that we are intentional, because when we're intentional, even when we're feeling as though we're missing out and we're, behind on the 8 ball, or we should be catching up to some of our peers or whatever, take our time, because God's timing is perfect. And when we do things in sync with purpose, then it's like this incredible, wonderful mix of things just work on our behalf. So take your time doing things, but do it with purpose and intention. Okay, the next piece of advice that I have is to stop chasing perfection and embrace your imperfections. The truth is, perfection doesn't exist, but excellence does. And there's such a difference between the two. Perfectionism isn't attainable because we're not God, and as many things as we create, there are ways that we can always improve and make it better, right? And what's interesting about it is when we chase perfection, it's just not attainable. However, when we focus on excellence and we make something the best that we can make it within our ability at that time, it seems perfect because it reflects such excellence. The other thing is, our imperfections are the things that make us unique to who we are. And as we embrace all of who we are, we become perfect in ourselves, right? So like, for example, I am super nerdy. My sister calls me Google because I know a ton of random facts. I am very loud, very bubbly, very lively. I'm uniquely me, and that is what makes me who I am. These are characteristic traits that are they're not necessarily unique to me, but they are, when people think about me, they think about these character traits. And that's what makes me perfectly Loren. But to some people, those might be imperfections, especially when I'm loud. I'm not inappropriately loud, but my voice carries. Or the fact that I'm really goofy, or I'm very vivacious, and sometimes that might make other people uncomfortable, and they would see that as an imperfection or a flaw. But that's for them, not for me. Does that make sense? Next, don't believe every thought that enters your mind. The truth is, there are, oh my gosh, I don't even know. No exaggeration, probably 1 million thoughts that go through your head in a single day. And a lot of those thoughts have to do with who we are, how we view ourselves, and how we value ourselves. And it is really important that every single thought not be taken as absolute truth, because a lot of times we kind of go in a downward spiral, especially if we're having a hard day, if we have negative feelings, if we are going through a rough patch in life. That's when a lot of negative thoughts come in, and it's really easy for us to beat ourselves up or to see ourselves less valuable than we actually are. Instead, look at each thought and evaluate it. Is it true? Where is the lie? I've mentioned that a lot, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Where is the lie? And if it's not true and you can identify the lie, then you can counter that lie with the truth. And then you can start to believe those thoughts, because the truth is the truth. Not a truth, not their truth, not some truth. The truth is the truth. And that is so powerful. Next, trust your gut. That's really important, okay? So when you get a feeling, and it might be a bad feeling, it might be a feeling like, hey, I need to go, or hey, you need to go do this, and it might seem crazy out there and no one is gonna believe you, or maybe like, I need to leave right now. Trust that feeling, because truthfully, I believe that that is our conscience, our intuition, our discernment telling us, giving us a nudge of which direction we need to go. And that gut feeling, that actual gut feeling, is really valuable. Next, relax. Like, seriously, relax. It's not worth the stress. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what challenges you're facing, how the outlook of life is looking. But when you are really stressed and things get really hard, take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, refocus, okay? Don't focus on your problem. Focus on what you can control, and just remember that it's not worth it. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your mental state of mind. Whatever it is, it's not worth it. Relax, control what you can control, and leave the rest to God. Next is focus on God and less on what other people think. Here's the thing. Again, take it or leave it. This is just my experience and what I've learned. GodIsBomb.com and never fails us. He never abandons us, and he's always there for us. I know that there are people that will argue differently, especially when life sucks, because they're like, seriously, God's in this too? Yep, he's in that too. Question is, are you learning your lesson? Anyway, depending on the situation. Anyway, I tell you this because a lot of times we get distracted from our purpose because we're not focusing and tuning into what God has called us to do. We kind of become more distant from God, and then we start listening to other people, and we're not sure if we should really be doing what we're supposed to be doing, the things that make us happy, because it seems kind of crazy and outlandish for all these people over here, and we start listening more to them. Don't listen to these people. These people don't live your life. They don't have your purpose. These people are just people, you know? Love them, care for them, yes, but don't let them guide and dictate or direct the direction of your life. Let God do that. You tune into God and you follow and do what he's put on your heart to do. Lesson I learned, it's amazing. Things start changing for the better when you do that. Press into God. Don't worry about other people. To go alongside that, or on top of that, I have my notes over here and I wrote it out far more eloquent. It is, the approval of others is nice, but it is not needed in order for you to walk out your purpose. That's it. It's nice when other people approve, and it's nice when they come along and they support you, but it's not needed. Sometimes, often, when we walk in our purpose and we do the things that God has called us to do, sometimes it makes the people around us uncomfortable. And then they start to tell us why we can't do it, or we feel bad, we start to shrink down. We know it's uncomfortable, so we just, we try and make things copacetic. And the truth is, no. Walk in your purpose. Do what God's called you to do. And in turn, you are going to inspire and encourage and help other people on their journey. And it might not be millions of people. It might be one or two or somebody that you don't even know. That's a pretty powerful thing. Walk in your purpose. Next, time will heal all wounds. When I was younger, I heard this and I actually didn't know if that was true. And since I have been through my fair share of heartbreaks from different people, losing the loss of my dad, the loss of like really close friendships, the loss of family members, and sometimes that loss wasn't death. It was just like, oh, that relationship is over. And it was really hard. And everybody goes through their own thing. Everybody goes through a certain struggle. And it's just really important to remember that time will heal your wounds. It will make it easier. It will help you grieve and process through whatever it is that you went through. And you will be able to start to breathe again. You will be able to start moving forward in life, and it will start small. And it's okay that it starts small, especially if you're dealing with like depression or anxiety, or you're having a hard time getting a grip on your mental health. It's great that those things start small, and give yourself kudos for the small victories, right? Sometimes it's like, I got up today, I brushed my teeth, and I did a load of laundry. Hip, hip, hooray. Like, you crushed it. Good job. Because when you're battling depression or you're super anxious about things, it's hard. It is really hard. And at the same time, as you grow and time passes, you become stronger, you become better, you become more resilient. The important thing is, don't give up and know that time will heal all wounds. Next, covet less and embrace those things that bring you joy. I will say in Western culture, there is a ridiculous amount of pressure to buy the newest, the greatest, the latest things. I mean, for crying out loud, like, there are people on Instagram that are getting paid dollars. I was gonna say billions of dollars, that's not true, but they're definitely getting paid dollar bills to promote all sorts of, whether it's like beauty, hair care, look at this lifestyle, look at that lifestyle. I mean, my YouTube channel has to do with lifestyle, right? And a lot of people that get paid and they do advertising it's all sales, and it's someone saying, you could have this better, you can do this better. And the thing is, actually, it's not about being better, and it causes us to covet because we want that better, right? It's not about being better in that sense by having things. Things don't necessarily make you better. It's who you are, who you become, that's better. Are you better today than you were yesterday, right? And when we are not necessarily content, I think when we are satisfied and grateful for where we are in life and the things that we have, man, we stop coveting and wanting more of what other people have, and we really tune into who we are and who God's created us to be, and we're able to live a life that is full of joy, that is full of love, that is unique and filled with purpose. And I'm probably gonna continue to harp on that purpose thing because I think it is so important, FYI. Next, be intentional. Be intentional with your time and be intentional with your money. I think those two are so important because we all only have so much time in each day, and none of us know when our time is actually going to be up. For some, it's when they're super young, and for others, it's when they're super old. So whatever it is that you're doing, make sure it's what you want to be doing, not what you've been persuaded to do because you might miss out on something, right? FOMO. Or because it's what others around you want you to do because it's what's expected, you know? Really tune into what is it that you want? What is on your heart? What has God put there? Tune into that and start living in your purpose. Be intentional with it. And I also say be intentional with your money because, listen, as Zig Ziglar says, money's not the most important thing, but it's right up there with oxygen. It's how our society operates. It's how the globe operates. And so knowing that, be intentional with your money. Don't just go and blow it on the latest and greatest. And I'm preaching to myself as well as to whoever's listening because it's so easy to do, especially with like credit cards and debit cards. And, you know, you can just have like a charge account and it's whatever. I feel like a charge account though is like kind of old, like 1970s, 1980s. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, you can pay at a later date. The thing is, don't. Be intentional. If you want something, save up the cash, go get it. Pay for it in cash. And when you're saving up the cash to go get something, you are being intentional. And you're gonna know, do I really want to spend my money on this? Or do I want to continue saving it? Do I really want to spend, was it worth, right? I'm gonna spend my money on this. Was it worth all the time, energy, and effort that I put into it, right? Maybe you had to work 80 hours in order to afford this thing, whatever it is that you want, that you desire. Was it worth it? Or would you much rather put that money to use doing something else that's going to serve you in the long run? Whatever it is, be intentional. Next, it's okay to say no and not change your answer. Sometimes people are going to pressure you. Oh my gosh. Depends on the person, depends on their personality, depends on if they're used to getting what they want when they want it. But the truth is, especially for those of you that are like me and that have a big heart and you want to make people happy, or you have a servant's heart and you just want to give to people, just know it is okay to say no and to not change your mind. You don't have to change your mind to make a relationship work. You don't have to change your mind to for people to find value in you or to love you or to care for you. No is no, and you have your reasons for saying no about certain things, and you don't have to change your mind. That's just that. Next, fear is not real. Danger is very real. Don't get me wrong, danger is very real, but fear is not. And I will give you a quick example. Growing up, being a bubble girl, as my family would call me, because I was allergic to everything, and I mean, I couldn't even go outside sometimes and play in the grass because I would get sick and have a ton of allergies and asthma attacks because of the pollen count, or the grass was freshly cut. It was wild, right? So I was known as bubble girl, and I developed this fear really of life, and that fear caused anxiety, and it was just, I was a hot mess. But what I realized is that when I started facing those fears, I noticed that danger was real, and I can mitigate danger and do my best to handle and address danger ahead of time. But fear just kept me from living life, right? So for example, when I decided to go and travel around Asia with one of my best friends, there was a lot of fear there, a lot of fear. And as a matter of fact, some of my family members were like, yeah, you're not gonna do that, that's hilarious. And then I did it. I pushed past the fear. I mitigated all the dangers I could think of to the best of my ability, and then I pushed past the fear. And behind the fear, on the other side of fear, often are great, amazing, and incredible experiences. Be brave, be bold, and know that fear, it's not real. Danger is, but fear is, it's not real. This one's important. Develop a relationship with God. A relationship with God. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about a label. I'm not talking about being a part of like a specific church or sector of any specific part of religion. I'm talking about your one-on-one intimate relationship with God. Develop that, because all of the other stuff, there's a foundation and it's important, and there's a lifestyle that you live when you have a relationship with God, but it should not be because of what a pastor, a rabbi, and a mom said. It should be because that's what God put on your heart to do, or because that's what God has told you to do. Develop a relationship with God. Get to know God so that when someone says something, you can say, yes, I agree with it because this lines up with the characteristics of God, or no, I don't. And you can see, truly see, when someone is manipulating, because this happens. I think this is, people don't want to talk about it when it comes to spirituality or religion or anything like that. But when you have an intimate relationship with God, when you're building your relationship with God, you are able to separate, hey, this is in alignment with God, and this is not. This is just an individual, a person, a religion, an organization trying to get one over by under the guise of God and spirituality, as opposed to this is actually God and his characteristics and how he views me, how he sees me, who he is. That's like so important. Building your own relationship with God. I'm telling you, it's incredible for life. That is all. Next. Give yourself grace. Sometimes we are sensitive, and sometimes because, ladies, it's that time of the month. Other times it's because we are grieving, and it might be we're mourning the loss of someone that we love and that we care about. It might be that we're grieving a relationship that's ended, right? It could have been a romantic relationship. It could have been a platonic relationship. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it could be a fail of some kind that was just like, heart-wrenching, right? Whatever it is that you're going through, give yourself grace. Give yourself the time and space to grieve, but don't wallow. Give yourself grace and then move forward. Next, one of my favorites. Control what you can control and leave the rest to God. Let it go. Trying to control the things that we actually can't control does not serve us in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it adds heartache, it adds hardship, and life just becomes a struggle. It's not worth it. Control what you can control and leave the rest to God. Learn the basic principles of money and apply them on a daily basis. Listen, everybody has their own money philosophy, and I'm definitely going to be talking more about that on this channel because I think financial education is super important. What is also important is knowing that each person is on their own financial journey. And part of that financial journey is understanding how money and finances actually work. Unfortunately, we're not taught this in school, and people that have money and wealth don't really talk about it. People who pretend to have money and wealth want to give you tips from like 1981. Does not apply today. And then you have some people in the middle that are building wealth and have become successful, and they're sharing certain things. And at the end of the day, what's really important is that we take ownership of our finances, and we do that by learning about money, learning about finances, and laying out what is actually going to benefit us, our purpose, and the vision that God has put on our heart. That's that. Next, every single dream that you have is possible. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how wild and crazy it is. Every single dream is possible. And I hope that you really grasp that, because I finally got it and I am running full steam ahead, and it is awesome. Just be encouraged. I don't care how wild and crazy your dream is, it's possible. I mean, let's just be honest. Elon Musk is building a ton of stuff to go to Mars. Like, seriously? And we're over here worried about, small little things. I don't care. Whatever your dream is, you can do it. Next, move your body. I don't care what it is. I don't care how you do it, right? It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be in the gym pumping iron. Whatever it is. Maybe you like dance. That's kind of my thing. Maybe it's self-defense. Maybe it's walking in the evenings. Maybe it's just stretching and feeling good on a daily basis. Whatever it is, make sure that you move your body. Moving our bodies helps us in so many different ways. It helps bring healing mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It helps us shift our energy when we're in a funk to something positive. Movement is wonderful and amazing. Move. Next, don't let other people's limitations become your reality. Just because someone believes that they aren't capable of doing something doesn't mean that you aren't capable of doing something. And just because someone doesn't see the vision that God has put on your heart doesn't mean that it's not possible. It's not possible for them, which is fine because God didn't put it on their heart to begin with. He put it on your heart. So don't let other people's limitations dictate or drive the direction of your life. Next, rest, but don't quit. Don't quit. I don't care what it is, don't quit. Rest. If you are pursuing your goals and dreams and you are working really hard on turning your vision into reality, continue to work hard, continue to be diligent. And when it gets really rough and you're worn out, you're weary, it's okay. Take a moment, rest, but don't quit, because what is inside of you is so important. And you have been chosen to share it with the world. You, no one else. That is just incredible. So don't quit. Keep going. Love deep. Love deep. Sometimes it's scary and sometimes it's hurtful because it ends. But as Shakespeare said, it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Love is incredible. absolutely incredible. Experience it, embrace it, love deep. And while we're speaking of love, the next thing is you don't have to earn love from anyone. Trust and respect, those are earned. But love is not something that you can earn. Love is something that is given. The next lesson, watch what people do, not what they say. What a person does, the actions that they take will bear certain fruit, and that fruit is always telling of the truth. Whether it's good or bad, that fruit tells the truth. Okay. Next, therapy is wonderful and amazing. However, don't get stuck in your past. Use therapy as a tool to process through whatever it is you need to process through, but don't get stuck in your past. Learn from it, grow from it, and start to live your life now, presently. The past is the past, and unless you have a time machine, we can't go back and change it. And if you have a time machine, we should talk, because there are definitely other things in the past that I prefer to change than a woe is me moment. You know what I mean? The next lesson that I learned is you can travel wherever your heart desires. I know there are a lot of people that will come up with a lot of different excuses as to why they can't travel, but the truth is there are more solutions to every problem that someone has when it comes to traveling. And it's important to find those solutions, because traveling makes you a better person, and it changes the world for the better. Find a way to travel, and travel wherever your heart desires, because you can. Next lesson, you are more amazing than you think. That's it. That's simple. We're pretty incredible. You are more amazing than you think. Next, don't let people speak negatively over your life. Honestly, when they do that, jokingly or not, they're in some way or another cursing you. And when you let them do it, you're coming in agreement with it. Nay, don't do it. Let them know, like, hey, no, that's not cool. Or actually, that's not true. Stand up and speak life over yourself. We have enough negativity and battles and things that we are fighting on our own. We also don't need that external input adding to it. Facts are facts. And you do not have to allow someone else's negativity or negative beliefs about you or your life even enter into it. Not allowed. Don't let it happen. Next, boundaries are an incredible and amazing thing. Learn about them, apply them. So beneficial. Next, manners, self-respect, dignity, and class never go out of style. There are so many trending things, but the truth is self-respect, dignity, class, and manners open the door and provide opportunities that other things just won't. I mean, they just won't. Be classy, mind your manners, be honorable, be respectful. Know what your core values are. Like, oh man, know what your core values are. When you know what your core values are, it makes things in life so much simpler. Why? It makes it easier to make decisions. It helps make things easier to know if you are in alignment with your purpose or if you're not. It makes things easier to know if a person is in alignment with you and your purpose and what you're doing or not. Know your core values. They're wonderful and they are so helpful. Love them. Learn them, embrace them, and love them. Next, pray, dream, and write often, and write daily if you can. I think that prayer is so important because it draws you closer to God, but it also helps to put within ourselves the belief that we need, right? I think a lot of times when people pray and they are petitioning God for something, they're asking and they're asking and they're asking instead of walking by faith. prayer is, God's already answered our prayer. We just have to have the faith that it will happen. And when we spend that time with God and we grow our relationship with God, it's less of us begging and asking God for something and us reminding ourselves, like, remember when I prayed for fill in the blank, and you just give him honor and gratitude for it already happening. That's for us. That's not for him, right? That's for us. And when you ask God for something and you're like, God, I'd really like this, and you start to go into why you want it and the reasons behind it, why it's on your heart. He already knows. He put it in your heart to begin with. But it's for us, and that is just so invaluable. Truly, truly, it is so invaluable. And writing helps kind of solidify it in our brains on a different level. And I think when we do all of those together, great and wonderful things happen inside of us as an individual, how we grow, who we become, and the world around us. Just let me tell you, yes, do it. Pray, write, and write often if you can. Next, I like this one. That list of wild, crazy, incredible experiences that you want to have happen, they'll all happen. All of them. And as a matter of fact, you will probably have to add to that list. I know from personal experience, because there are things that I put on my bucket list when I was 17, because I honestly was like, I'm gonna die in this hospital and this sucks. So if I'm gonna die, I wanna die doing one of these 5 things. On that list, I've done 3 out of the 5, and I have added to it. And the things that I added to it, I thought would be impossible, and I've lived them. So have a list of experiences that you want to have, a life that you want to live, and embrace and enjoy as it unfolds, and keep adding to it. All right, my final piece of advice: the things that you think people will care about, they don't. So don't care either. Truth be told, all the things that we think people would care about or notice about us, they don't. They're more focused on themselves. So just go live your life. Live it with intention, live it with purpose, but live. Whatever you do, live.